bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Welcome, Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah, man, how you doing? Today's Tuesday, May 30th. 149 days into the new year, just 216 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Welcome, everybody. Here we go. What a great show we've got tonight, because it's the worldwide return of Jordan Maxwell. Yeah, man, right here on Fade to Black. Very excited about tonight's show. Talked to Jordan earlier today, and this week, and he is just fired up. He does have something to say, and tonight he's going to do it, and that's a guarantee. Tomorrow night, we have Dr. Robert Schock here with a Gobekli Tepe special event. Thursday is another Fader night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom live, followed by open lines all night long. So we're going to light it up tonight, so get ready. And I don't know if we'll have time for open lines, but if we do, 323-825-5045 is the number. And we'll see what's going on with the conversation tonight with Jordan as we kick it into gear here. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Everything. Follow, like, subscribe, do everything you want to do, and just go over to the website and click on those buttons. The sandbox is hashtag F2B on Twitter. We don't bite. Hashtag F2BQ is Fade to Black questions. Any questions or comments throughout the show, just go ahead and post it right there on Twitter, and I will see it. Okay? So let's get this show cracking. Wow. That's a pretty good gif right there. That's Jason Martell and Giorgio doing that's live, right? That's Contact in the Desert. That's a pretty good video right there. I don't know how you got that done. Rick Knight coming in with something pretty creepy. That's cool. All right. We'll retweet that. Let's go. You can also email throughout the show tonight, and I'll get to as many as I can to Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. All right. Ah, man. Jordan Maxwell. Yeah. He's been gone a while. And the thing is, and I'm gonna get to this in just a bit, with Jordan, he hung out with all of us at the Conscious Life Expo here in Los Angeles. I think that's back in February, and he was holding court, and I loved every minute of it. He had a lot to say, and he was very gracious with his time to just sit down with us. And there was one pic that was out there. Somebody out there has got it. You can post it. Literally, Jordan and I sat there for 3 hours and talked one-on-one and closed the bar. We did it until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. and didn't want to stop. We had work to do, but that's Jordan. And I have followed him from the very, very beginning. I'm going to get to all of when I say the beginning of my career and sort of his. And I'm talking about in the I picked up on Jordan in the mid 80s. I'll get to that in just a second. Let's get a few things out of the way really quick as we start to unravel this show tonight. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. Also, become a member. We have 2 different ways to get to our archives. Podcast is simple. It's right there. Everybody knows what a podcast is. $2 a month. There you go. All platforms. Just go to iTunes, Google Store, download the software, the app, search Fade to Black, download it, head over to Libsyn, $2 a month. You get this show that you're listening to tonight archived, all the commercials, everything unedited, archived, and that is a proper archive. Okay, $2 a month there. Help support the show. Or you can go to jimmychurchradio.com and become a member, a Fade or Not. When you become a Fade or Not, you can go from free all the way to Game Changer. It's your choice. But you get the bunker cam, and I'm waving to everybody now, live out there. You get the bunker cam, and you get commercial-free archives. And those you download. You can play on your phone. You can download whatever you want to use to play back. You don't have to sign into the internet. You just download what you want, all your favorite stuff. Everything is updated every single day. All right? And that's it. This week, when you become a Fade or Not, your name goes in the hat, and we have a monthly drawing this month, which will be in 2 days on Thursday. On Fader Night, we are going to give away a complete coffee bar, courtesy of River Moon Coffee, which is 4 pounds of Fade to Black blend, and then all the hardware you need to make a perfect cup of coffee every single day. All right? It's very cool. So become a member, and your name will be thrown in the very special Fade to Black hat that I think we're using. We're using Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s autographed hat for that. Okay, so anyway, that'll be Thursday night. And don't forget all of our sponsors, Life Change Tea, GetTheTea.com, River Moon Coffee, Studio Dome Speakers. Visit all of them. Click on their banners over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. All the promo codes that you need for discounts, free shipping, all that stuff are included in the banner. Okay? All right. A couple things really quick. We will be at ECETI Ranch for their July 4th Science, Spirit, and World Transformation Conference. Tickets and info are over at ECETIEvents.com. That is ECETIEvents.com. That's all you got to do, ECETIEvents.com. All right? And I'm going to post this up right now. We will be at ECETI. Boom. Copy. I'm going to post this up on Twitter right now so everybody can go there and get registered. All the information that you need is right there. And let's see. I think I got that right. Let's see. I'm just going to do this. Do hashtag F2B. Boom. Done. We'll be at All right. Now, the reason why I'm doing this like this, there is a new website for ECETI. Okay? There's a new website, and it's www.ecetievents.com, not eceti.org. Okay? There you go. All right, I'm tweeting that out now. I think that's clear enough. Everybody understands. And that'll take you straight over there. We just confirmed, and that's July 4th. Also, we'll be up with Corey Good up at Mount Shasta August 18th, and we'll get all of that info up there, too. I'm just reminding everybody so you can schedule your calendars. Let's get the show cracking. It happened today at 10 a.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time. Happy birthday today to Martin Meyer. He is 9 years old and 11 minutes as of right now. Happy birthday, Martin Meyer. And I hope that a few years from now, as you start to grasp how special the world is, that your dad will play you this show today and you get to hear it again on your birthday. Happy birthday, Martin Meyer. We posted up everything on Facebook and Twitter. Him wearing his fade to black onesie. And I gotta say, that is a very special thing. Happy birthday, Martin. You have two very, very, very cool parents. Also today, Tom Morello is 53. Rage Against the Machine, of course. And CeeLo today is 43. Our dead guy's birthday today is Mel Blanc. 1908 to 1989. And this is what's trippy. He died at the age of 81. But he was the voice of, and I just put a partial list together. Listen to this. He was the voice of Bugs Bunny, Porky Pig, Tweety Bird, Daffy Duck, Sylvester the Cat, Yosemite Sam, Foghorn Leghorn, Marvin the Martian, Pepe Le Pew, Speedy Gonzales, Wile E. Coyote, the Roadrunner, the Tasmanian Devil, Barney Rubble, in case you didn't know, and also Dino on the Flintstones, the dog, Mr. Spacely on the Jetsons, Secret Squirrel, Speed Buggy, and Elmer Fudd. And that's just a partial list. Mel Blanc, you're up there right now. Happy birthday. On this day in history, it's a big one. 1431, Joan of Arc martyred. The peasant girl who became the savior of France was burned at the stake for heresy on this day in 1431. That was a pretty good movie, by the way, Joan of Arc, if you haven't seen it. Fate or fact, our favorite, sometimes I just have to laugh, our favorite metal band, Black Sabbath, was originally called the Polka Tulk Blues Band. And that, my friends, is a fate or fact. Tonight, very special guest with us. It's the worldwide return of Jordan Maxwell, right here on Fade to Black. Tomorrow night, Dr. Robert Schock is here, and a Gobekli Tepe special event. Thursday night's another Fader Night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom live, followed by open lines all night long. All right, a couple of things that I want to talk about really quick. Mate and Anita Meyer brought their son into the world today, Martin. Yes, we posted pictures, and yes, he's wearing a faded black onesie. But when something like that so special happens, that special, where parents, have a child, and if you are parents, the emotions that happen on this very, very, very special day. And the emotions that I felt, that Rita felt today, because we get to, as parents, we vicariously enjoy that moment once again. And I was speaking to Mate today. Rita comes running, and Mate had his son, and it is such a joyous occasion. I can't put it into words. And so Mate is telling me about what happened and how, and I could hear in his voice not only the excitement, but he's giving me the play-by-play. And I went back and thought to myself, everything that he is saying to me today, I have said 9 years old. No, 9 hours old. Not 9 years old. 9 hours old. 9 hours and 10 minutes. Did I say 9 years? See, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you for that, Mark. Is that I turned around and I said to Monte, I said, look, man, you're going to be sharing this experience and what you went through with other parents. And I know it's special to you. But other parents are going to roll their eyes. And they're going to go, dude, we did the exact same thing. Nothing special here. Because parents do that. And I did the exact same thing. I went, and then we did this, and then we did this, and then, then this happened. And to most parents, they listen out of respect. But when parents are listening, it's not that they're disconnected, and it's not that it's nothing special. At that moment, they are reliving their special day too. And I have to say, little baby Martin, our youngest, fate or not, you have a world of wonder in front of you. A lifetime of discovery. It's all right there. And it's an amazing thing. And you look, Rita and I have a couple of great nieces. Great, is that what you call it? When your niece and nephew have had a child. I think it's great niece, grand niece, whatever it is. I don't know. But, and we're doing that too as well. Right now, weeks old and months old and, just so young. And life is right there. And you get to do all of those special things, all of them, that we did with our daughters. I remember going up and down the stairs. Nicole was probably 3 years old. And we would go up and down the stairs, and we would do this question and answer thing with each other. And I would say this, as dumb as this sounds. I would go, ho-biddy-bo-biddy-bo-biddy-bo. And she, 3 years old, ho-biddy-bo-biddy-bo-biddy-bo. And I would try to get it more complicated. Ho-biddy-bo-biddy-bee-bee-bo. Ho-biddy-bo-biddy-bee-bee-bo. Those moments that you just have, you want to freeze frame and hold on to those forever. I'm 53 years old. We have two daughters now. They're both 22 years old. And they're both in college. And I used to hear those famous words over and over again from parents whose children are now grown in college, right? And they would go, man, it goes by so fast. You don't even know. And when your child is 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, you're thinking, man, this is going to last forever. And it quite simply does not. It goes by in a blink of an eye. And I used to hear that, and I got tired of it. And now, as I'm 53 with two 22-year-old daughters and Rita by my side, and I can tell you, it goes by in the blink of an eye. So fast. And I looked at baby Martin today, and all I can think is, the world is in front. A world of discovery. Everything. You know how precious that is? And so here today, I'm 53. And I try to maintain that exact same sense of wonder. I don't want to let that go. And when you raise children and you see children around and you see children, that sense of wonder, that asking questions and just trying to figure stuff out, I want to be that. I don't want to grow up. I don't want to be old. I just don't want to ever stop questioning and laughing and being stupid and trying to figure things out. I don't want to let go of that. Which brings me to Jordan Maxwell. Jordan said to me today, now here we have these generations now Martin into this world. Our daughters are 22. You've got me and you and Rita. And then we have Jordan Maxwell. Jordan said to me today, and I hope he's listening right now. We're going to bring him on here in 5 minutes. He said to me today, he said, Jimmy, I'm 75 years old. And I went, wow. And he said, I will not stop learning. I will not stop questioning. He said to me, I have been doing this for 56 years. And I want to come on this show tonight. I want to talk to all of the members of your audience who are younger than me, because they all are. And they need to understand that I have a lifetime of work, a lifetime that I need to get out and share. I have so much to say, and I'm not done. And then he said to me, and this is it, after a special day today with Martin, our youngest Vadernaut, all the way through to our oldest Vadernaut, Jordan Maxwell, who is saying, I'm not going to be here forever. I'm about to be 76. And I've done all of this work, and I've got to share it, and I will continue until it's my last breath. And I sit back and I think, how did we get here? How do we go from a precious child coming into this world today at 10 a.m., and we're posting pictures and all of this wonderment, to this conversation I had with Jordan today about the finality of it all, where we go through life. And that's what Martin has got in front of him. And that's what we need to do. Somebody as special as Jordan Maxwell is to all of us, right? We need to stop and listen. And baby Martin, later on in life, when you're old enough to hit play on a computer and play a file, I hope that you listen to this show on your birthday and you listen to Jordan Maxwell. And you understand that there are people here to teach us. There are people here that understand that the world is not what it seems. It's a pretty strange place. And that we listen to Jordan and those like him, and we go and we study and we research and we question, and we go out there and we discover like a child. One of my favorite shows on Fade to Black, and for those of you that remember, it was a few years ago on a Fader night where I don't know how the conversation started, but we started talking about Saturday morning cartoons and breakfast cereal. That show, now, as idiotic as that sounds, I've never had more phone calls. I never had more happiness. I never made a more direct connection to this audience so quickly as that show. And in that broadcast, we were able to go back to when we were 4 years old and sitting in front of a TV watching Saturday morning cartoons in the 60s and 70s and eating breakfast. And there was nothing like plowing through an entire box of Quisp or Quake or Lucky Charms or Captain Crunch, running out of milk. It's dripping down as you just take, you can never take a real bite of cereal without having it drip. I don't know why that always happened. But we relived our childhood together. And that magic, that thing, that part of discovery is the most precious thing that we have on this planet. And our children are the most precious. Our children are the most special thing that we have. And we were talking about this briefly last night on the show, but I really mean that I don't know how. I don't. I really don't know how things have just spun off the road a little bit here. I don't know how, but I know that all we have is this planet and our children to give to them and to guide them. That's all we've got. So I will do our part. Rita is here to do our part, to just get us on the same page. I don't want to see baby Martin with to see a distorted thing out there. I want happiness for baby Martin and for my children. And I know that Jordan Maxwell is here to make sure that when he departs this great earth, that what he has left behind is a legacy of knowledge and of coolness and of oneness. And that's what he has left behind, and he has done his part. So here we are. We've got this generational thing happening. We have a beautiful Fate or Not family out there. You have children. Maybe you're expecting children. Maybe you want to produce a few. But we are going to expand and make this world a better place. And that's what we're here for. So welcome to the world, Fate or Not, baby Martin. And if you haven't seen that onesie, oh, here it is here. Look at the, I just got to do, dude, he's got Fade to Black playing. He's sleeping with his Fade to Black shirt on and me right now in his ear. And I'm going to retweet that now. It puts a lump in my throat. Congratulations, Mate and Anita. You have a very precious son, and you've got a gift of a lifetime in front of you. The world is a more of a special place today. I'm choked up. That's my rant, and let's all do this together. I'm going to get out of here right now and bring on the one and only Jordan Maxwell. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Simple enough. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Stay tuned, because I'll be right back with the worldwide return of Jordan Maxwell. Stay right there.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi, folks. Let's wind the clocks back 60 years. Food was different. Food provided health and nutrition, and using supplements was minimal. Unfortunately, now we have chemicals, GMOs, herbicides, and pesticides that can be quite lethal in the name of our food supply and, of course, the ever-loving dollar. Supplementing our diets can be very important to stay healthy. Cleansing from daily intruders to the body might be critical. Live strong and take charge. Log on to getthetea.com. Our herbal tea is a great way to cleanse from intruders. Our supplements is a great way to maintain and improve your health. When your health is not up to par, go to getthetea.com. No GMOs, no fillers, and organic, and very helpful in keeping you at the top of your game. Life is too short to feel, you know what I mean. Stay in the game, at the top of your game with GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Again, GetTheT.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Klutsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fade or Nots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Simple enough. Twitter is up and running and going berserko. I love every minute of it. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Tonight, Jordan Maxwell is here. Tomorrow night, Dr. Robert Schock. Thursday night's another Fader night with John Rappaport, followed by Open Lines. But tonight, he's been gone for 6 years. 6. And he's returning worldwide. Tonight on Fade to Black, Jordan Maxwell continues as the preeminent researcher and independent scholar in the field of occult religious philosophy. His interest in these subjects began far back as 1959. He served for 3.5 years as the religion editor of Truth Seeker magazine, America's oldest free thought journal since 1873. His work exploring the hidden foundations of Western religions and secret societies creates enthusiastic responses from audiences around the world. His work on the subject of secret societies, both ancient and modern, and their symbols, has fascinated audiences for decades. Considering the rapidly moving events of today and the very real part of hidden religious agendas play in our modern war-torn world, he feels that these controversial subjects are not only interesting to explore, but too important to ignore. His extraordinary presentations include documents and photographs seldom seen elsewhere. I would like to welcome, for the first time to Fade to Black, and the world welcomes you back, Jordan Maxwell. Jordan, good evening, my friend.
Well, thank you very much for allowing me to be on the show. And I really, I'm very, very absolutely happy to be on with you, Jimmy, because as far as I'm concerned, you're one of the big shows that I really would like to be on. So here we are.
You know, Jordan, okay, before we get started, and you're going to, just put another lump in my throat. So let's just relax, right? Okay, so there's that part. But we've been setting up this show now for what seems like 5 or 6 months. I want everybody to know that Jordan and I have worked really, really hard along with his producer and partner, Alex, to get this to happen tonight. And this was, it wasn't easy to do, but it was a fun project to put together because we were both very enthusiastic. That being said, Jordan, you get the first-time guest disclaimer. How cool is that, right? So here it goes. It's just you and I, Jordan, sitting on my couch, talking as friends. Where the conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends. But we're going to end as friends. There it is. Are you ready to go?
I assume so, yes.
Now, Jordan, and again, welcome. This is where I would like to go. You and I sat down at the Conscious Life Expo and in the bar, and we talked for 3 straight days. But the first thing that I said to you, and we were very anxious to finally shake hands and meet, and we sat down. But I think I caught you off guard with this question that I presented then. I want to start the show off now, which is, and I looked you dead in the eye, and I said this. I said, Jordan, do you, or have you any idea of the impact that you have had on our community? Do you have any idea right now? I mean, do you have any idea about that impact?
Well, it's very difficult for me to to think about that kind of thing, because I sincerely have never and do not now consider myself to be of any importance. I just do what I do and see where it goes. It's always been my philosophy about life, and this way I disarm my detractors who want to come in and mercilessly destroy my name and my reputation and calling me names. But I just say I'm just an ordinary man pursuing extraordinary knowledge. And I believe so dearly and so heartily about what I'm doing that I don't mind all the ridicule and all the condemnation and the backlash I get from around the world, because I'm talking about things that a lot of people do not want to know. And there's a lot of people who don't want the world to know that what's really going on. So I've been doing this since 1959, some 56 years ago. I became aware of all of the machinations and secret societies and and smoke-filled rooms with political, religio, commercial interest around the world. Ultimately, driving the whole world insane today. But all of this stuff I was talking about back in 59, 60, 61, I was giving a lecture in East Los Angeles, or East LA, East Hollywood. I always say East LA. No, it's East Hollywood.
Right.
In 1963, I was on my way down to give a lecture to a large group talking about the secret societies in world government and the day John Kennedy was assassinated. So, I mean, I've been talking about this before Kennedy. So, 56 years ago. And during the 70s and 80s, I was invited by working class people, not the officials, but just working class guys, in the motion picture studios and entertainment studios to go down in the evening after most everybody had gone home, and I would have passes to get into the big studios, and I would give slight presentations just for the fun of it to a lot of the people who, camera people and lighting people, and et cetera, and that knew about me in Hollywood because I've been giving lectures there for years.
Right.
And so I was talking to Hollywood on the very basic, fundamental platform of Hollywood. All the working class guys in Hollywood. I was giving lectures back in the 70s and 80s on secret societies, Knights Templars, Illuminati, corruption in religion, government, especially in banking and all the occult world of commerce and military-industrial complex. So all that kind of stuff I've been fascinated with, all of my life and talking about it. And it's finally, it looks like it's finally now these subjects, which are now all over the world. People are talking about the Illuminati and secret societies and conspiracies in government, and the whole entire structure of civilization is now permeated with all kinds of dark stuff going on. Well, I mean, I knew about this a long time ago. I was just having fun telling people what I was finding.
Oh, I want to jump in right there because I was living in Pasadena in 84 and 85, 86. And this guy comes, and we were talking about UFOs, and this guy goes, "Hey, man, I got this videotape." And he goes, "Here, check it out." And it was like the next day he comes back and he goes, "This guy was speaking at a bookstore here in Pasadena. His name's Jordan Maxwell." This is like 84, 85. Check this out. And he handed me like 2 or 3 video. He had, I guess you were just speaking at bookstores in Pasadena. You probably remember. But anyway, so I take the videotapes home, and I'm like shaking because I felt like I had like illegal drugs with me, right? Yeah. So because he had told me what it was about, I thought, no way, he's talking about symbolism and Illuminati. Nobody does. So I go home and I watch the videotapes, and I tripped out first. But the second thought that I had is, why is this guy not in jail? Right? Why isn't this guy being silenced? What, Jordan, I have to ask, have you ever been threatened, and why haven't you been arrested? And maybe you have, and you haven't told us about it.
Yeah, that's possible. I have been threatened virtually my whole entire professional life in many different ways. People threatening my family, my name, my work, my person, and where I go to lectures. I could tell you some incredible stories about how I have been stalking by officials and government. I've been stopped by political, and military people, pulling me off to the side and saying, "Look, you better watch your mouth. You better watch what you're doing." And it's been an extraordinary life. But I have always believed, and I think this is probably what has protected me. It's just my belief. But I believe that I'm supposed to be here to do what I do. And part of that job is to be ridiculed and threatened and frightened, and because that's what it's like on the front lines when you're government or when you're in the military and they send you behind enemy lines to do something. You're behind enemy lines and you're doing something. If they caught you, it would be your life. And yet you've got a job to do, and you just do what you got to do and hope the hell you come out of it alive. So that's been my attitude, is I really believe that I have been given something to do, and I believe that I'm going to be all right and safe. Not all right, but I'll be safe until my work is done. And then when it's done, and that's it. And I'll either just quietly go into the sunset or be blown away. I don't know. And I don't even care. I really care only about one thing, and that is what I do. And I think I've been protected by someone, especially the Spirit. I think the Spirit has protected me and guided me so that I just stay humble and stay quiet and just do what I do without looking for any big fanfare. And maybe that's what's kept me alive. And so I just continue today doing what I do. And I must say, I have paid a terrible price for it. But that's part of who I am, and that's what I do, and so I accept it.
Today, the world has never been crazier, right? It's been pretty nutty for a few billion years, but certainly today it's about as crazy as it's ever been. What scares you? And I know that's a broad stroke of the pen, but seriously, Jordan, I mean, what trips you out today in 2017?
Oh, that's very easy, very easy. The thing that really frightens me is being able to see something so clearly and knowing what I'm seeing is legitimate, and there's nothing I can do about it. Nothing. And that being said, I am watching the world of mankind all over the world, especially since the advent of the web and computers. I'm able to access now more of the world than I have been traveling around the world in different countries giving lectures. So I'm well aware of how this world works, but I truly am frightened about where the human family is actually heading. And I know, I don't suspect or think, I know that it's pretty much impossible from my point of view, pretty much impossible to stop what's coming. I don't think there's a possible way that humans can stop what's coming. Maybe God can, but humans can't. And so I have said in the past, and I'm saying it again, that the human race is not capable of changing anything. We cannot change or do anything. We can complain, but that's all we can do, is just complain. But we can't do anything. And the reason why is because the world of mankind today has no power to do anything. Americans have no power to do anything. Why? Because knowledge is power. And unless and until you are knowledgeable, well-informed, intelligently research all kinds of subjects for many, many years, you will not get the perspective of where the human family has come from, where it is now, and oh my God, where it is heading. Most people don't even think about such things, but when I drive along during the day and see the children and the families and young couples with their children, and think to myself, nobody seems to know where we humans are headed. And that's frightening because I know what's coming and I know how they're doing it. I've been talking about it for almost 60 years, and now I'm seeing the outcome of what I've been talking about for many years. I now begin to see that all the things that I knew were coming are here. And it's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse because the whole world system is out of control. It's just frightening to me because I don't know what to do about it. I mean, I've tried my best to get people to hear and listen to what I'm saying.
Right.
And but it doesn't seem that anybody, maybe they're hearing me, but they're not listening. And that's different. It's a very big difference. As a matter of fact, I was told by a highly placed military guy in two of the big alphabet agencies of government talked to me in private and told me, your government is watching you, but what we're interested in, you don't have any threats. There's no threats against you right now, he told me. He said, but what your government is interested in relation to you is not how many people are hearing you. We don't care how many people hear you. Our concern is how many people are listening to you.
Big difference.
Big difference.
Yes.
He said, if we see large crowds coming to your events, we don't care. That's just, you got a right to talk and speak. But if we see that you begin to actually have a following, like a Martin Luther King or a Bobby Kennedy or something like that, now we're going to have to look at you in a different way. We're going to have to deal with you. So right now, as long as most people just hear you and fluff it off, and like Churchill said, most people will stumble upon the truth once in their life, but they'll get up and brush themselves off and go on about their way, and it never bothered them. So that's basically what's happened to me in my work. People will hear me. Yeah, it sounds interesting. They don't know what the old man's talking about. He's full of bull anyway. And but then one day when the world starts coming apart, then people begin to say, "Oh, well, wait a minute. He was talking about that 40 years ago."
Well, and let me jump in here, Jordan, because there's actually a pretty cool accidental. As crazy as 2016 was and upsetting to the world, the revelations of mass media, fake news, the lies and the deceit to those out there that always were in denial about it, would never listen to you or to us or to our community that this was going on, and then they see it and they are exposed to it. That is certainly a big part of the problem. And mass media has been called to the mat now. And that's that's a big part of this puzzle, and certainly that is progress in the right direction, wouldn't you think?
Oh, I think so. Yes, I think so. But I've always said, people tell me, well, people are waking up. I have had so many people say that to me at events when I'm speaking. They say, well, people are waking up all around the world.
They are.
And I say, but to that I say, yes, that's what prisoners do at the big federal prisons. Every morning they wake up. Just because you woke up, that doesn't mean anything. You're still a prisoner.
Right, right.
So, now you finally woke up. Well, it's about damn time.
Right. Yeah.
Well, now you finally woke up. But now the enemy you're facing is far, far more intelligent and far more sophisticated and profoundly evil than you can even begin to imagine.
Yeah, when you think about the dark rooms where there are actual people sitting around a table trying to figure out how to manufacture more bullets, right? Now, just think about that. As simple as that is the most corrupt morality that you can have, right? We need to sell. What are bullets made for, right? Well, they need to kill more people. They need more profits. And that is just an absurdly perverse thought. But when we talk about the evil in the world, well, there's an example right there. And then you can elevate that to ICBMs. But let's just let's deal with the bullets level. And you're so right, and you've been speaking about this for so long. Let me back up a step here. We're going to hit a break in 5 minutes, so I want you to get this thought out for me. Back in 1985, when I was watching your bookstore tour, right? I don't know what other way to call it, but watching that, your talk back then, which was so forward looking about symbolism, right? About the mystery schools and about what has been going on with our religions and our governments and corporations for 1,000 or 2,000 years. That's what your talks were about. What was the first thing that tipped you off to corporate symbolism being tied back to the mystery schools and Freemasonry and so forth? What was that first thing where you went, wait a minute?
Well, when I first was introduced to, back in 58, 59, to the idea, my family, got me started a little bit on it, and then I started poking around and finding out more about it. When I first began to learn about the Vatican's connections to the CIA and the Nazi Party and the development of Marxist communism around the world, and then finding out that the Marxist-Leninist Soviet communist powers of Europe and the Soviet Union were being financed and being promoted and financed by American banks, Vatican banking around the world. And when I began to finally dawn on me that there's a connection here between the Vatican, the Nazi Party, the Soviet Communist Party, and international banking, because I realized, I grew up knowing this, that nothing happens without money. If you don't have the money, you don't have nothing. So you can be brilliant, you can be an Albert Einstein, but unless somebody puts the money on you, you're not going anywhere. And so I have to ask myself, how did Adolf Hitler, coming from a country which at that time in the 30s was totally broke after the First World War, where people were actually dying on the streets each day, they would take horse-drawn carriages and go through the cities of Germany and pick up the dead bodies off the street of the Germans who actually starved to death and died. And therefore, they were totally broke. And then all of a sudden, one day, Adolf Hitler pops up. And within a couple of years, just a few short years, built one of the greatest, most powerful military, industrial countries in the world, who actually was going to take over the earth and almost did. And logic alone, even at a young age, for me was, where did he get the money, for God's sake?
Right.
People were dying on the streets of starvation.
Right.
And a couple of years later, he's got the greatest standing military complex on the earth. Have you ever tried to buy a tank or a V-2 rocket? Where in the hell did he get the money?
Buckets of it. Buckets of it. Yeah. That's I've often wondered that because it's just simple to look at. It's just a few years, and it just rose from the ashes. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, well, then you find out, it was Chase Manhattan Bank of New York.
Right.
Morgan Guaranty Trust of Philadelphia.
Right.
City Commercial Bank and Citibank in Chicago. And that's why Israel was so determined to find Adolf Eichmann. I mean, of all the Nazis around, Israel wanted Adolf Eichmann with a passion. They were looking for Adolf Eichmann, period. They don't want to arrest him. They want him dead.
Right.
Okay, and then I found out later on, I now know why Israel really wanted Adolf Eichmann dead. It's because he was the point man in Europe for the American bankers to send money for the Internal Revenue, to send the money for the banking cartels for General Electric, General Motors, Ford Motor Company, Eli Lilly Glass. All the big corporations in America and Western Europe were supplying Adolf Hitler because he didn't have anything. The whole country was broke. But somebody was sending him all the supplies, all the oil, the rubber, tires, Jeeps. Chrysler was sending him Jeeps and half trucks, and General Motors sending him all kinds of transportation. And then you begin to see, wait a minute, the whole entire Nazi movement in Europe is financed, organized, directed, and supplied by the United States corporations and banks out of Chicago, out of New York, and Morgan Guaranty Trust out of Philadelphia. These are the same people I found out later on that were financing Jehovah's Witnesses, the Mormon Church, and all these other British Israel World Federation new cults in America. That's a whole story too. Where are the religious cults getting their financing to operate around the world? There's a big story here nobody has ever touched.
And won't.
For 56 years.
That's right. And won't. Let's take a break right here, Jordan. We'll continue. We'll pick up right here where we're leaving off our guest tonight. That's right. It's the return of Jordan Maxwell. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. And more with Jordan right after this. All of Jordan's links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Jordan Maxwell Show, Jordan Maxwell Research, Jordan Maxwell Videos, all right there at jimmychurchradio.com. We'll be right back. More with Jordan right after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
What's up, Fadernauts? It's Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129 and use the promo code JCRTWS and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. You know, after just 1 week of taking angioprim, the pain was gone and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll free at 877-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. Call 877-882-7221 or go to the website angioprim.com.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Jordan Maxwell is finally back. Tomorrow night, Dr. Robert Schock is going to be here, our Go Beckley Tepe special. Thursday night, another Fader night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom Live, followed by Open Lines. Tonight, it's Jordan Maxwell. Now, Jordan, I wanted to discuss the Illuminati, and probably nobody has spoken about or brought more information to us or revealed to us about the Illuminati than yourself. Going back to those 1985, those 80s videos that I was talking about, you were bringing up the Illuminati then, pretty much a fresh subject for the world when you brought it up back then. Today, it's pop culture. It's everywhere. It's gone from you in a library in Burbank, right? To Madonna. Now that's pretty crazy. And I don't think most people out there, they just think it's a cute term, that they don't fully understand it. So let's go back to the beginning, and I want your definition of the Illuminati. Who are they?
Well, that's a subjective question, actually, because there's going to be a lot of people who have a lot of different ideas. I think ultimately that goes back to, I don't know if you're ready for this, but this is what I think. I've only been looking at it for 56 years. So this is what I think, based on my understanding, is that ultimately Illuminati can be traced back to the Jesuits in the Vatican. The Catholic Jesuit movement was even known as its founding when the Jesuit movement was founded. It was being referred to in Latin by such names as the Illuminati. What I'm saying is that I think it is because the Jesuits are a military order in the Catholic Church. They have generals and they have the troopers, and so it's a military order. It's nothing holy or righteous. It has nothing to do with loving the Lord Jesus and being washed in the blood of the Lamb and saved by the Holy Ghost. We're talking military. We're talking fascism, military, It's an incredible, dark story about the Jesuit order and how it has been behind the scenes since its founding for 400 years or something like that. That has been behind world revolutions, violence. When you get into the superstructure of the Roman Vatican, I'm not talking about the Catholic people. My dear mother was a Catholic, and my family were Catholic. I'm not talking about the good Catholic people. I was born and raised Catholic. I'm talking about the organization, the church itself. Where did it come from? And when you start looking into the actual history of the Vatican, where it came from, who founded it, where the money came from, and how it was connected with the Roman Empire behind the world scene. When you understand the real powers behind the Roman Empire, when you think about the Caesars of Rome and how powerful they were, they, like the President of the United States today, merely represent the real powers, the money powers behind the empire. So today, the President only represents the real rulers, you should say. The real rulers of this world are the people with money, the powerful people with big money. And so during the Roman Empire, the Caesars appeared to be very violent and ruthless and powerful people. But actually, they were merely the fronts for the real rulers, which was the Pisos, P-I-C-O-S, Pisos family. People like the Pisos were the Rothschilds behind the Roman Empire, just as the Rothschilds are behind the British Empire today. Rome also had their bosses of all bosses back then. And so when you look at the life of Arius, Copernicus, Pisos, and the Pisos dynasty and how they were involved with the creating of Christianity and creating of the Bible and creating of religion in the Roman Empire. And then when the fall of the Roman Empire came, they were still behind the scenes. It didn't bother them. So when the fall of the actual empire itself collapsed, they went on because they were the guys behind the scenes. It doesn't bother them. So they just opened up a new operation. One went bankrupt. It's okay, we just opened up a new one, and we call it the Vatican. And so now we are using the Vatican in Rome and with the Holy Father, and therefore all of the politicians, all the gangsters, the mafiosis, all of the dark figures of bloodshed, violence from around the world, they all show up at the Vatican to kiss the ring of the Pope and to bow and curtsy before him, because the bottom line is, Jackson, he is the boss. All roads lead to Rome, period. That's the bottom line.
Do you think you'll ever...
And behind the Vatican and behind the Pope is a very powerful secret societies that are phenomenally important, powerful, financial, militaristic, terrorist organizations. Look at the operations of Opus Dei, Opus meaning work and Dei meaning God. Opus Dei, the work of God, and my Lord God, what their connections directly to Propaganda Due, P2, the P2 Lodge out of the Vatican, which is a secret society operating around the world, which is financing, organizing, and directing terrorist activity all over the world for the Vatican so that England and America can go in and put down the terrible problem and help all the poor people, and never realizing the whole entire world is lying in the power of a dark secret, and the world has no idea in the world what's going on.
I don't think you'll be kissing. Yeah, I don't think you'll be kissing the ring of the Pope anytime soon.
No,
I don't see that in my crystal ball. Let me.
You have no idea how bad this thing really is.
I do, And but you really do. Let's stay right here, Jordan. The information and knowledge that the Vatican is sitting on, one can only imagine and guess. And as far as you want to take your imagination, it's not going to go far enough, right?
Nope. You're right.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's the truth. And you have been collecting and distributing and talking about this knowledge for a very, very long time. But I do want to address some of the possible things that they are sitting on that influence their decisions. And one of them is an alien one, an alien agenda. So. Yes, absolutely.
I totally agree with you.
So with you brought up Copernicus, right? And you think about everything that they have done with heresy and persecution and death when it came to the knowledge of the universe, our solar system, the sun, and all of that they probably knew what was going on and they didn't want this knowledge to get out. Today they have observatories and they're talking about baptizing ET, right? Yep. What is it that they know?
I think that they have known for a long, long time. I am totally convinced from what I have been able to personally see and talk to individuals who know and on the inside that the Vatican, along with the U.S. government and Russian government and probably some other governments around, especially the British, have been aware for a long, long time that there is a power in this world so awesome and so frightening and so profoundly evil, and it directs the world of mankind behind the scenes. Even who was it? The 28th president of the United States was Woodrow Wilson. And if you'll recall that famous quote from Woodrow Wilson back in the 30s where he said that there was a power in this world so frightening and so powerful that wealthy and important people around the world are frightened to death to even mention its name. And they don't want to talk about it at all because it's fearful. It's like talking about the mob in public. And so I think that there has always been the presence of a very powerful secret societies operating around the world and still do today. We don't even begin to know who they are. Has nothing to do with the important so-called important figures and institutions that we see today. No. There's something far, far bigger than you have even suspected, that's been going on for thousands of years. And the institutions like Hollywood and the military-industrial complex have known about this very powerful presence that is what I call overshadowing the human destiny of the world. And I am totally convinced for myself that it has to do with extraterrestrial presence. Something else is on this earth that is driving the human race mad. But there's nothing you can do about it. There's no way you can defend yourself from it.
Right.
And basically, I guess is what the story is in the Bible about the devil and the demons that control the world. Well, I think there's a modicum of value in that concept. I think there is something to that idea that there is some kind of a highly intelligent, extraordinarily brilliant, man, incredibly evil presence in the world that is behind dictators, murder, violence, and this is what the human race is dealing with, but we don't know it, so we're fighting each other. The Democrats and the Republicans and the blacks and the whites and the cowboy and the Indian. So we're all fighting each other, never for a moment realizing something else is on our earth and it's driving the whole human race mad. And there's nothing, and this is important, there's nobody going to get into politics unless that power allows it to. Nobody is going to run anything in this world unless that dark power says so. So so I don't know what you could do with that one. Take that and smoke it in your pipe, because as far as I'm concerned, military and presidential people, I don't care how good they may think they are, they are not going to do nothing unless they are allowed to do it by the powers that really operate behind the world throne.
Why do you think, Jordan, that today, more than ever, we have nothing but information about exoplanets, fast radio burst, ET contact, life on Enceladus and Europa, and Mars is always part of the conversation now? It seems like we are being prepped. I mean, we talk about it all the time, but we are really being prepped for some kind of disclosure or some kind of ET event. This is getting us acclimated for it. Do you feel the same thing?
Yes. Well, let me say this, that one of my dear friends that I used to work with many years ago, he's still here with us, is Norio Hayakawa.
Yep.
And Norio was a very dear friend. I love him very much. And
great guy.
He's always been a wonderful, wonderful friend.
And a troublemaker, too. Now, come on, you got to put in troublemaker there.
Yeah, well, but I'm leading him in that.
Yeah, right.
But Norio used to, when he was giving lectures at these conferences that I was speaking at too, he was promoting the idea that maybe the governments of the world and the secret societies of the governments of the world are planning a fake invasion to frighten the whole world into falling into the trap of a new world order where we all give up our arms and we all give up and we cling to one great leader of the world, and he will save us from these extraterrestrial. But the whole thing, in Norio's opinion, could very well be just a plot. And so one night in Pasadena, one night after one of the big Whole Life Expos that I was speaking at, and he was too, we all went out to dinner. And I mean, it was a whole bunch of the speakers, all top-of-the-line people. And we all went out to dinner, the speakers, and he began talking about that to everyone and explaining how this is all being set up. I said to him at that dinner, I said, Norio, I can take the same facts that you have enumerated. I can take the same facts and come up with a totally different story. And this is it. Maybe you're saying that all of this stuff is being put together to fool us into believing that there's going to be an alien invasion. I'm saying maybe there's going to be an alien invasion, and the governments, as stupid as they are, they know that. They've been told it's going to happen. It's not going to happen for a while because the invaders are like the Nazis, are very, very bright. These entities from wherever they have come are very smart. They're not going to drop in on us immediately. They know the way the human race works, you got to prepare them over maybe 100 years, prepare them. And so I said, so maybe that's what's happening. Maybe Hollywood and governments are promoting all of this because they know it's actually going to happen, and there's nothing you can do about it. And therefore, Hollywood is being directed to prepare us with these scenarios, like Spielberg with and Indiana Jones and the UFO stuff and all of these space thrillers. I think this is probably preparing the human race for something which governments already know that's coming, and there's nothing we're going to do about it. That's what I think.
And wouldn't it have already happened, though, Jordan? I mean, we wouldn't even be on this show right now if ET had bad intentions.
Well, I'm saying that. Well, of course, if you go back to the people who have talked about this from the inside, they're saying that there are different ETs here. They're not all bad,
right?
And so but I see a presence on the earth, which I guess Christians had the better explanation for it, even if it isn't exactly correct. But the idea that Christianity has provided that there is some kind of a demonic, for lack of a better term, a demonic, demon-possessed spirit in the world, which they call the devil, which I understand is simply putting a D, the letter D in front of the word evil, becomes devil.
Right.
take one of the O's out of good becomes God, so God is good and the devil's evil.
Right.
But I do believe that there is something really important about the concept that there is a spiritual presence in the world that we cannot see, but it's here. We can't see wind, but it's here. And we can't see TV waves in the air, but they're here. So there's so many things we can't see, but they are here. Well, I think that there is a spiritual presence on the earth that, as I said, Christianity has talked about being devils and demons and devil worshippers, etc. I think there is legitimately something to that story. I don't think it's exactly the way Christianity understands it, but I think the concept is right. We are being overshadowed by some sort of a dark force that is leading us and directing us and ultimately bringing us to a terrible place in the world and the history of civilization. And I'm frightened because I know there's nothing that we humans can do about it. And the reason why is because knowledge is power. And there are too many important people in this world that don't want this kind of knowledge out.
Isn't that
to the people who are running the world? They'll tell you, keep your mouth shut,
right,
and just pay your bills and be in compliance and kiss the ring, and that's all you need to know. So,
well, and that's the doom and gloom side of it, and I totally get it because the agenda is the agenda, and we can all see that. But certainly, when I hear you when you say there's nothing we can do about it, if the knowledge doesn't get out. But if the knowledge continues on its flow and what is going on today, in the end, we will win, right?
Well, I think you're probably right on that. I mean, because being old, I'm 76 years old, going on 77 years old, and I've been through hell in my life, and so naturally, as an older guy, I tend to be more pessimistic, but that's okay. I earned it because of my age and my experiences. But I think you're right. I think eventually the world is going to awaken. And there's going to be some really interesting times to live in as the chaos is now sweeping the world, and the world of mankind is realizing that nothing is what you think it is. My God, I was saying that a long time ago.
I know, isn't that right? And I wanted to, before we hit this next break, you have seen all the phases of the conspiracy community. You've seen all the infighting over the years. You've seen the intrusions. You've seen the disinformation. You've seen the agents that have infiltrated and tried to disrupt things. You've seen all of it. And it's going on today in our community. And and why is that? Why do we have this infighting that is going on? Is it Washington interfering with disinformation campaigns and causing all of this? You've experienced all of it. Why are we living it today probably worse than ever before?
I think it's because not necessarily Washington, although that would be one of my first thoughts is Washington, but I'm sure that there are very, very well-hidden, well-heeled, highly financed, and extremely brilliant secret societies, fraternal orders. We can all realize, we can all deal with the fact in your mind about mafia. There's organized crime. We can all envision that and understand that. You're talking about Chicago during the 30s with with mafia killings, etc., and The Godfather, Godfather 3, and all of these movies on the mob and the mafia. So we can all wrap our minds around that and say, so they were organized crime, but you got the FBI and the police and all that. No, I'm saying that these organized criminal organizations are not even scratching the surface of the real criminal powers. The real criminal powers are absolutely frightening when you understand they run your country. And there's a secret movement, secret societies that meet dark in dark rooms and meet at night, and they meet in bank buildings that you don't know anything about. So when you're sleeping at 3 a.m, they're having their meetings about who's going to live and who's going to die. And the stuff going on in Washington, D.C., wow, you have no idea in the world how corrupt that system of what we call Washington, D.C., what it really is, what it actually is, and who's really running it, and where it's taking all of us and our destiny as a country and as individuals, where we are going, you have no idea. And I've been trying desperately to get people to, to look at the evidence that I've been producing over the years. It's been very difficult. But like you said, and I think you're probably right, people are waking up, and it very well might be that ultimately at the end of the day, something is going to change, and maybe our Creator will see to it that he steps in, whatever God is. I do believe in God. I do believe in the presence of a spirit in the universe. There's no doubt in my mind about it. But perhaps that one will step in and save us at a last resort if we start waking up and doing something ourselves to show the Great Spirit that we don't want this any longer. So that's what I do. That's who I am. That's what I've been trying to do.
Well, I'm going to give you 60 seconds to answer this before we hit the break. When you walked into the Conscious Life Expo this past year and the seas parted and here's Jordan Maxwell and you got that warm reception, but as you looked around and you're looking at thousands of people there, how does it make you feel to see this next generation? Because there are a lot of young faces there. There was 1,020 somethings, right?
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
I feel like a grandfather being promoted by his grandchildren and being thanked by his grandchildren. I look at everyone and thinking, I love this idea of young people waking up, and especially personally, I do like the idea that they recognize who I am after all my life, and so I just kind of feel like the old man, that the grandfather who really appreciates all the young children who know him and love him and are promoting him. That's what I kind of feel. But I also, at the same time, want to scream at the top of my voice, if I had the energy, and saying, you have no idea what I could tell you. And I can't tell you. You're not ready for it. You're just now beginning to understand spirituality and beginning to look at the world in a different way. My God, I hope I'm allowed to be here for a while longer. So when you're ready, I'm going to tell you the rest of the story. And you're really going to be shocked when you hear it.
Yeah, I'm going to let everybody know. Jordan's going to come over to the house. I'm going to bust out some good wine. I'm going to cook some amazing food. And I'm going to suck all of the information out of him. And this is Fade to Black. Yeah, let's take a break right here. Tonight, Jordan Maxwell. Great conversation. And we're going to take things much further. Just stay right there. It's the return of Jordan Maxwell. This is Fade to Black. We'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
End time is not what you thought.
In their new book, 122436, authors Mike and Cheryl Gilmore bring forth a startling new idea on the beginning of humankind, how life begins on Earth and when our Creator concludes this age. In the book, 122436, three small groups of individuals, separated by thousands of miles, discover together the answers to the beginning of our universe and all the life it contains. Mike Gilmore is the author of 5 Levels of Power novels and the Sled Investigation series. Cheryl Gilmore is current state director in South Carolina for MUFON and brings a lifetime of experience with UFOs and related fields. As a team, their new book about life in the near future on Earth sets aside most people's religious and scientific beliefs. Available exclusively on Amazon in softback for $8.99 or the ebook price for only $2.99. Remember, Amazon softback $8.99, ebook only $2.99. 122436. Get your copy today.
Hey there, quick question for you. Would you be okay with more energy, more endurance, thicker, healthier hair, a better mood, reduced appearance of wrinkles, improved sleep, improved blood pressure and cholesterol profiles, improved vision, improved memory? Okay then. Well now, have you heard of Nature's Youth RSF? It's from the anti-aging experts at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. See, at Nature's Youth, they understand exactly what it means to provide top-quality health products. And Nature's Youth customers not only improve their health, they know they're also providing their body with the right nourishment to maintain that peak performance and fight the aging process. If health, wellness, and nutrition are what you desire, choose Nature's Youth RSF. I did. You see, you're going to get older. It's just up to you how you feel when you get there. Get started today. Nature's Youth RSF. Simple to use, simple to order. Go to nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, our guest, Jordan Maxwell. This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. It's dark, complex, and smoky. Just go to the River Moon Coffee banner right there at jimmychurchradio.com. Use the promo code F2B Blend when you order, and you're going to get 15% off. All right, just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Our guest tonight, Jordan Maxwell. Now, Jordan, I want to kind of continue this conversation where we are at now. We were talking about the possibilities of an alien invasion, whether it is a fake alien invasion, some kind of false flag thing to unite the world, or a real invasion. But could it also be the return of the Anunnaki? And is this knowledge that the governments of the world and the Vatican knows about, and they are preparing for the return of the Anunnaki, who probably have the best of intentions, but they would change the New World Order, wouldn't it?
Well, I understand your thinking. That's a very big question. And I'm not sure how to answer that, because I know that if there are evil presence in the universe and evil presence on the earth, it only stands to reason that there would be also good, because in the human race, I mean, we have a lot of horrible people, but there's an overwhelming amount of wonderful, great people. And so if we are made in the image and likeness of God, and that's what it says in Genesis, come let us make man in our image and after our likeness. That tells me that maybe there are good, for lack of a better term, good ETs or good angels, because that's all an angel is, an ET. Ask any child where angels come from, and they'll point out in the sky. They come from heaven. Well, that is the heavens, and so where is God? They point out into the heavens. So God's in heaven, and the angels are with Him in heaven. Those are words that we use. Angel simply means messenger of El, and El is God in Hebrew. So messengers of El are messengers of God, angel. But there must be good angels and bad angels, and so again, I think there's something to this idea that's been promoted in religion to some extent. But I wanted to give you two examples of the kind of thing I say when I said I see things that other people don't see, and I'm frightened because of where it's taking us.
Right.
Let me give you two examples. One is, as I said, my family were Catholic. I'm not complaining about the Catholic people. I'm talking about something that's in your face. It's called the Vatican. I was there. I took a tour of the Vatican. I went in the back way and had a special tour, not like the normal tourist. I was invited to take a really extensive tour of the Vatican. I went around the back way, and I already knew what I was seeing, but for the first time, I was actually there to see it with my own eyes. But when you understand for the first time, maybe you could be told this, but until it finally dawns on you and you finally understand it yourself, that the papacy and the Vatican does not represent anybody called Jesus or Christianity or anything like that. The Vatican actually represents a very powerful God in this world, but it has nothing to do with Jesus. It has to do with a God going back to the Phoenician Canaanite era of time, thousands of years ago. The God that the Vatican represents, and I can prove it in any court if allowed to. It's very simple. The God that the Vatican is here to promote is called Dagon, D-A-G-O-N. You need to write that word down and do some homework on it. Do something really interesting that you've never done before. Read a book. It's called Dagon, D-A-G-O-N. Look up the word Dagon in the encyclopedia or in reference dictionaries, and it will tell you Dagon was a most powerful Phoenician god in the ancient prehistoric world. Today, the Vatican represents the worship of Dagon, not Jesus. And one of the primary witnesses to this is the fact that the Pope's mitre, that strange-looking hat that the Pope wears, the very tall one, is called the Pope's mitre. And that mitre is actually when you turn it a certain way, you will see it's actually a fish head. And so Dagon was a fish god. And so the Pope is called the fisher of men. So it has nothing to do with Jesus. It has to do with a fish god coming out of the ancient Palestinian, ancient Phoenician, Canaanite system of religion thousands of years ago. So when you go to the Catholic Church, when you're involved with the Vatican and the Holy Father, just understand the Catholic Church is worshiping Dagon, D-A-G-O-N. Do some homework and find out that the Dagon is an ancient god of the Phoenicians, Canaanites, and this is what the Vatican is all about. Now, by their fruits you shall know them, meaning look at the fruitage of Dagon worship on the earth today. The mere fact that for 2,300 years, I would say, as an estimate, for about 2,300 years, Rome has dominated Europe. Originally under the original Roman Empire, then into the democratic period until the fall of the Roman Empire. And then after the fall of the Roman Empire, then comes the Vatican, picking up where the ancient Roman Empire left off. And so today, for 1,600 years, the Vatican has dominated Europe. So the point I'm making here is that for 2,300 years, Rome has dominated, and the worship of Dagon has dominated Europe. People don't know that. They don't read. They have no idea of what I'm talking about. But when you start doing your own research, you will begin to see the Vatican represents Dagon. And therefore, for 2,300 years, as I said, Rome has dominated Europe, and Europe has dominated the world. And this is why we say all roads lead to Rome. And the whole entire system of Western civilization is based on something very, very dark, very ancient, and has nothing to do with anything you think that the Vatican and church and religion's all about. Nothing at all. So that's one of the reasons why I say that the political, religious system today, which is, represented by the political, military-industrial complex, is based on a very ancient demonic god, Dagon. And that's why we're having the problems around the world today. Religion is not what you think it is. Now, that's one point I wanted to make. A second point I wanted to show, you probably maybe have heard me say this before, but I think it bears repeating now. Your system of financing, of banks and money and how business works. It's an extraordinary story of betrayal of the human family. We don't know how money works and what is money, who prints it. But I want to give you an example of how you don't understand what money is. Suppose, for example, you are a painting contractor, and I call you and hire you to paint my office. You come over as a contractor, and you give me an estimate, say, of $100 to paint my office. I accept. We're talking commerce now. So you come over and do the job. When you're through with the job, what do? Well, in business, you give me a bill. And I'm supposed to pay the bill, and the bill is for $100. And so you gave me a bill for $100. I turn around, and in my wallet, I pull out a $100 bill and give it to you. So you were paid, and you're happy, and I'm happy. No, I didn't pay you anything. You were not paid nothing. You were paid zero. Because you gave me a bill for $100, I gave you a $100 bill. If you had given me a bill for $20, I'd give you a $20 bill. Get it?
Mm-hmm.
So when you hand somebody a $20 bill, that means they owe you $20. It's a bill. It's a banknote. And so when you give me a bill for $100, that's okay. I'll give you a bill for $100. And you think you've been paid. No. In America and in the Western world today, our business is referred to as maritime admiralty law, the law of the sea. And according to the law, the way it actually is written and said, you cannot pay a bill. In America, you cannot pay a bill. Even though we always say, I've got this bill to pay and I got that bill to pay. In point of fact, you cannot pay a bill. You can discharge a debt, but you cannot pay a bill. And the reason why is simple, because you're not paying a bill. You are discharging the bill with another bill. So if I owe you $100, okay, so now you owe me $100. So I discharged a debt. I didn't pay you anything. And this is why the bottom line is this. This is why nobody in America owns anything. You do not own your home if you pay cash for it. You don't own it. You do not own your new car. You do not own your plane and your boat or anything else you buy and you pay for and get the receipt. You don't own it. you have what is called an economic or a financial interest in the thing. You may have a financial interest in your boat, and therefore, if I want to buy the boat and you want to sell it, I have to give you back some money because you've got money in it, and I have to pay you some money to reimburse you for the money you've got into it. But the point is, you don't own it. You have a financial interest in it. You don't own your home. So the only way you can actually own, which you don't own nothing, but the only way you can own something is if you purchase it with what is called what am I trying to say? I've got so many things I want to say. I can't remember the word right now, so I'll have to come back to it when I can remember it. And it has to do with the actual true ownership. Damn, I forgot the word. Anyway, it'll come back to me. But there's a particular way that you have to buy something with a particular kind of contract, which means that you actually, in fact, own it. And so you never bought your home. The word is allodial. Just came to me.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
allodial.
Continue.
It's
yes,
spelled
yes.
ALLODIAL. Allodial. Allodial title means you own it. God cannot take it from you. The Queen of England can't touch it. The U.S. government can't touch it. Internal Revenue can't. Nobody can touch it, period. If you own your home or your plane or your car or anything under a allodial title, that means you own it, period, and they cannot touch it. But you see, if you just discharging a debt, I mean, that's what they do with you when you come out of the service. They give you a discharge. And when you're walking across carpet and you touch a piece of metal, and it's a discharge. So the whole idea of money is based on some dark secrets that people have no idea in the world how it really works. So I'm just saying that this is the world you live in. The Catholic Church does not worship Jesus, not worshiping the Almighty God and all that. No, it's Dagon, D-A-G-O-N. Your banks are not doing what you think they're doing because you don't know where a bank is. Banks are on both sides of a river. We call them river banks. And what does a river bank do? It directs the flow of the currency because your money is referred to as currency, or it's a current. It's an ebb and flow, back and forth. You get some in, it goes right back out. We say money goes through your hands like water. No, money is water by law. It's a liquid asset. And so that's a whole story in itself when you get into banking and checks writing and what's how you buy things and how you sell things. The whole idea of banking is a very dark study. And most people have no idea in the world how America finances anything, how the world, United Nations, is financed, where the money comes from, and in particular the connection between money and bloodshed, because the value of money is based on bloodshed. Even in the Bible it says without the shedding of blood, there is no remission of sin. I'm telling you, there are certain people in this world who are experts. I'm not. But there are experts that I have sat and listened to when they explain how money is based on blood. And certain amount of people must die each day or each year, each month, in order for the money to be of value. And if enough people do not die, then the money will go down on the stock market. So it has some kind of a hidden secret, or what I refer to as an occult connections, how money really works and how it works in relation to the bloodshed of people. What a hell of a story that really is once you have it explained to you by an expert, and I'm no expert.
You know what's funny?
I've heard experts, and it's scary.
And listening to that, money is completely based on faith. Right, and it just goes back to everything that you are saying. It is based on faith. It is. Money is so intangible. The whole thought behind it is completely based on faith. How quick would things collapse if they really started to unravel? Because there's nothing there. There's nothing there to prop it up. How quick would it crumble?
You know what? I'm not sure, but I know that the implications are far more frightening than my mind can comprehend. Because if you get millions of people in America who are used to eating steak and drinking beer and being entertained, and their minds, collectively speaking, their minds have got a 40 IQ or 35 IQ, but they're used to filling their bellies and watching the wrestling matches and watching the ball games, and they're filled with anger and violence and alcohol and drugs. And then all of a sudden, one day, the system itself absolutely in 1 hour collapses because the whole world is sitting on a bomb, sitting on a time bomb. And if it ever goes, you're going to see America. It's going to be an incredible sight because millions of people who have no idea in the world, no education, no ability to read and think, they have no spiritual basis for life and understanding, all of a sudden their world is going to collapse. And when it does, my God, you don't want to be in this country and watch what's going to happen, because these people who have been drinking their beer and eating well and living well, believing that everything is going to be just fine, and when they find out how this world actually, in fact, works, and what's really been going on in Washington, D.C. that you've never been told, it's going to be frightening. I don't know how long it will take to finally collapse to the bottom, but it's going to be one hell of a ride when you see it happening. So, again, I know it's going to affect good people, young couples getting married, with children, and these families who thought it was clever having 8 and 9 children, and then finding out there's no more money, there's no more fresh water, there's no more decent food, there's no more clean air, and now there's no more money and no more country. Now what are you going to do? It's frightening to contemplate what's going to happen to this country and the world in general, but especially my concern about this country when the old proverbial crap hits the fan. And like you said, the system we're living under right now is so volatile and so profoundly evil, but also so profoundly stupid, ill-informed, unread. So again, that's what I try and do.
You live in Las Vegas today, and every time I go to Vegas, I think of one thing. If the water was ever shut off, because Vegas technically should not exist. Right? Should not. Right. It should not exist. Yep. But yet it's full of life. The lights, the glitz, the glamour, the $2 prime rib buffet on on Fremont. Well, at least back in the 80s. But it should not exist, right? And if the water was cut off, it would turn into dust in no time at all. Oh
God, yes. Oh God, and can you imagine California with this and the western part of the United States, and California in particular, with this water shortage and that's frightening. When you got 40 million people in a state with no water.
It would be.
My God, what are the implications of that?
Well, see, you lived in Burbank for a very, very long time, where we live now. And I express to everybody all the time, they just don't get it. The truth is this. Here we are in the valley, and you can talk about L.A. in general, but in the where we have 2 ways in and 2 ways out. We got the 5 freeway, right? Mm-hmm. And we got the 101. And if anything, if anything happened to the 5 freeway, anything happened to the 10 freeway, we're done.
Well, just try and go to work in the morning if everything's just fine.
Well, all the food, everything, it would just be over so quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Those two arteries, because there's no access to anything here. We don't have fun. You know, back in the day, especially in the 50s and 60s when you were a young man living here in Burbank, it was still full of peach and orange groves, and we had agriculture. Mm-hmm. And now it's concrete. There's nothing here that exists anymore. We can't eat concrete, and you know what I mean. And when you come to the valley today, and you look around, there's no green. There's nothing here. Everything is imported. The water is brought in. The food is brought in. The electricity is brought in. We have nothing here for infrastructure for sustainability. It doesn't exist.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely correct. And what does that imply? If a 9 point on the Richter scale were to hit in Los Angeles, what does that imply? All of a sudden, 30 million people in Southern California, all of a sudden hit by a 9 or a 10 point on the Richter scale, and all of the facilities and all of the utilities are all shut down, period, gone. No more running water, no more electricity, no more nothing. And the military moves in. My God, what a mess that's going to be, because you got millions of people who have no idea in the world what was happening or what's going on, and all they do know is that there's no water and no food, and you can't go out, and the military's on the street, and it doesn't matter trying to get on the freeway because it's impossible in a regular day to go to work, much less under the conditions like that. And that having that many people locked in and having to face that kind of a situation is frightening to me.
Yeah,
I can't even go there.
I've thought about that so much because, I've been in California now, Southern California, for 30 years. We're going to hit a break here in 60 seconds, Jordan. Yeah. I've been here for 30 years, and I have seen the immense amount of growth since I've been here. I mean, I cannot put it into words, the changes that I have seen in Southern California in 30 years. And I just don't, if anything, I went through, all of the earthquakes here. I've seen what can happen. And I just look around, and this thing where people want to live in Southern California and they keep moving here, which is great. Come on, keep moving. But we're not prepared. We are not. Jordan, we do not. After an earthquake, everybody gets their earthquake kits. A couple of weeks later, they've forgotten where they put them in their garage, right? Yep. And, you're right. And life moves on. We are not prepared for anything here. I don't know what to. I don't like to be doom and gloom, but I live here, and I just know that if anything happens, we are not ready. We simply are not prepared at all.
Nope. And the police department are militarized, and so they've been militarized by the Fed, and so they won't be coming through as your fellow citizens, as police officers to help you. They're coming through in tanks to beat you into subjection, and you need to be in compliance. And if you're starving, that doesn't matter. They'll beat you anyway. And if you got 6 children that you can't feed, that's your problem. You get out in the street and they'll beat you up, and they may even shoot you. So they're not your fellow citizens in the police department. They are military, period.
Yeah, you know what's funny? We're going to hit a break right here. I'll say this. In the 94 quake, somebody had smelled gas outside of the house, and the fire trucks were going by. This is in Sherman Oaks. Fire trucks were rolling by. We're yelling at them to stop, and they kept on going, Jordan. They didn't stop. They didn't stop to help anybody. Our guest tonight, Jordan Maxwell. And when we come back, Jordan promised me to share some never-before tales of his contact with E.T. We're going to talk about them when we come back. Stay with us.
This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat. Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on the smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
My name's Doug Salamone, and I have a new show for you that will blow your mind. So what kind of show is it? It's a podcast, and it's called In the News. And you can find us at inthenewspodcast.com. We talk about what's new, what's crazy, what's out of this world, and we'll dissect those thoughts, ideas, and events right here on the show. And hear all the news you may have missed or really don't give a crap about, but want to hear anyways. So come on over and meet me at inthenewspodcast.com. That's inthenewspodcast.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Jordan Maxwell. He's been away for 6 years. We're going to continue the conversation. This portion of the show is brought to you by Life Change Tea. Just go now by clicking the banners over at jimmychurchradio.com. It'll take you to getthetea.com. Just mention Jimmy when you order, either over the phone or online, and you are going to get yourself some free shipping. Now, Jordan, a few months back, you and I were talking, and we were talking about some of your experiences and your contact, and you said, Jimmy, let's stop right here. Let's save this stuff for the show. I've got, so here we are tonight. I've had my own sightings. I know that there's stuff going on out there. I've had some strange things happen. Why don't you share a couple of your experiences with stuff in the sky?
Well, I made a mistake quite a few years ago and it was a very serious mistake. I didn't realize until it was too late that I talked honestly and forthrightly and honestly about my experiences that I just thought were incredible and interesting, and I wanted to tell, like any child wants to tell their parent about something they've seen or whatever. I wanted to tell the world about some things that had happened to me, and I just was very honest and wanted people to know. Well, I found out that was a very, very serious error, period.
How so?
Because when I tell people in all honesty and in all sincerity something that happened to me, my detractors will jump on that and just desecrate your name, your person, your work, and rant and rave about Jordan Maxwell as an imbecilic moron who said that he did this and he did that. It's all stupid and it has nothing to do with anything. And so I became, I was devastated by the attacks, the ad hominem attacks on my name, on my person, on my work, because I happened to make a mistake and told the public some of the things that have happened to me. And my God, I got punished for it. So there's no good deed goes unpunished.
Right. And I decided, this is what I decided, I don't care. I've seen what I've seen. I've experienced what I've experienced, and I am going to stay public about it because there are, as you know, Jordan, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people out there that have shared the same experiences. And if we don't talk about it, then they won't talk about it. And if they need to know that people like yourself or myself have shared those same experiences. And they need to have that comfort, and that's my position. I just don't care.
I appreciate that, and I understand. I'll give you, I'm throwing caution to the wind and talking privately again, but I'll tell you I've had 36 major experiences in my life. I have them all the time, but major, I call them peak experiences which were totally out of this world, that blew me away. And I've had 36 of them. I've written them all down and try and remember them because I've had some pretty startling experiences. But one, let me give you an example of one. I haven't told, I don't think I've ever said anything publicly about it. But back in the early 90s, I was invited to speak at a conference over in just east of Pasadena at a big hotel. And I was supposed to be the keynote speaker at this big conference. And so the two guys putting the conference on, they called me one day and they said, Jordan, we're going over to the hotel that we're going to be holding the conference at next week. And we're just going over to kind of spy out the place and check it out. You want to go with us? And I said, sure. So I went with them. And as we're walking around in the big room, which holds like 500, 600 people, and they said, since you are going to be the keynote speaker, what do you need? Do you need a blackboard or a slide presentation? What are you going to do? And I said to them, no, here's what I want to do. I just want a table and a chair, so I can sit in the chair with the table in front of me and have all my paperwork and documents and materials out on the table. And I would just address the audience like a teacher. I'll just sit at the table and speak to the audience. And so he said to me, one of the guys who put this show on said, okay, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll put a guy on a bar stool behind you with a video camera, and he'll be right over your left shoulder, so that when you pick up a piece of paper and talking about it, hold it up in such a way that the camera behind you can zoom in on it. And we're going to have a closed circuit TV for the audience, so people will actually be able to read it with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, that's a beautiful, great idea. So the following week that happened. I was on for 2.5 hours as a keynote speaker, and it worked just fine. Well, when it was over, and at the end of the evening, when people were starting to go home, the guy who was sitting, manning the camera behind me, came over and he said, Jordan, would you come over for dinner tonight? My wife and I'd like to have you come over. And I said, sure. So I he had been very helpful all day. So I went with him, and he lived in Pasadena at that time. And well, upstairs in a nice condo, and his wife was in the kitchen fixing something to eat, and he and I were sitting there talking about all kinds of stuff and UFOs and all that kind of thing. And after a few minutes, after a little bit, his wife came out, and she said to him in front of me, she said, "Have you told him yet?" And he said, "No, I wasn't going to tell him till after dinner." And I thought to myself, "Oh my God, you haven't told me what? I don't like I don't like surprises. What are you talking about?"
Right.
And he said, "Well, I got an ulterior motive for inviting you here. There's something I had to tell you." And I said, "Well, all right." And he said, "I just turned 50 years old. But when I was 17 years old back on the East Coast," I think he said something like Massachusetts or Connecticut or something like that, he said, "I was thumbing my way going north out in a summer after school. I was going up north to stay with my cousin for a week or so, and I was thumbing my way on the highway. And he said, an old man picked me up in a pickup truck that was so old and so falling apart. And he said, but the pickup truck stunk terrible because he had been smoking cigarettes, cigars, pipes. He'd smoke a chain if he could light it, and it just smelled bad. But he was old man, and his truck was falling apart. And he said, but I got in. And he said, as we were driving along, the old man began telling me everything about me and my family that was absolutely correct. He knew everything about my mom, my dad, his work, my sister, what I was doing in school. There was nothing this old man did not know. I mean, absolutely correct. And he said it was scaring me. I didn't know what to think of this old man and how he knew all of this. And he said when he let me out, when I finally got out, he told me everything I have told you up till now was to entertain you and get your attention. Now I'm going to tell you something important. Yeah, after you're 50 years old, you're going to be on the other side of this country. And one morning you're going to find yourself in a big hotel, in a big meeting room, and there's going to be a man sitting on the stage with a table and chair and a bunch of papers, and you're going to be sitting behind him with a camera. But that camera does not exist now, but it will then. And you're going to be sitting behind him with this camera. And he said, the old man said, so that when he picks up the paper, people can see in the audience because of your camera. Now, when that happens, you tell the man sitting at the table, I put him there myself. I put him there. I decide what he will do and where he will go. I decided to put him there. So just make sure he understands I put him there. And I told you this, 35 years before it's supposed to happen, when you are 17, and it's not going to happen till after you're 50 years old. But you tell him I put him at that table and that chair. And so when he said that to me, his wife agreed. Yep, he's been telling that story for years. He didn't know it was you until today when we're sitting there at the lecture today, and you're sitting there at the table and chair. And he said, I looked at my wife for the first time, and she's looking at me, and we both knew that prophecy has finally come true. And he says, I'm just telling you what an old man picked me up a long time ago, and he told me that you were going to be here on this day, and you were going to be doing what you're doing. And he said to tell you that he put you here. You didn't just happen to be here.
How did you respond?
I got up and left the house.
Right.
I got up and left, and I was shaking. I didn't know what kind of emotion I was having. It was just an incredible rush of adrenaline and fear. And tears come to my eyes because I didn't know what to make of it. And he came out and walked along the sidewalk with me. And finally, we turned around and went back in and had dinner, and that was it for the evening. But that frightened me, that incident. And that's just one of 36 other incidents just like that, similar to that. So that's the kind of thing that has happened to me.
Yeah, who was the guy in the truck? Who, as you've looked back and reflected, who was the guy in the truck?
I don't want to. The guy in the truck. I have no idea.
Right.
I have no idea. All I do know is that he most likely, logic alone would have to dictate he was not necessarily human.
Or a time traveler, maybe.
Or a time traveler, or an angel, or one of the sons of God, or Anunnaki. I don't know. Who knows? All I do know is that he foretold some over 30 years, to happen 30 years from then, and it happened exactly and precisely the way he said it. And my friend told me, I just turned 50, and he said, you're going to be on a stage with a man with a camera that doesn't exist right now, but it won't happen till after you're 50 years old. And he said, today that prophecy was fulfilled. I'm sitting behind you. So he said, like I said, that just scared me. I didn't know how to accept that. I didn't know how to think about it. And it was very frightening to me.
Wow, man.
That's just one thing.
He could have been a gypsy.
Who knows?
He could have been a gypsy. Wow, that's a pretty trippy story, Jordan.
Well, have you ever heard my story about my girlfriend that I met
in Burbank?
In Los Angeles?
Yeah. I don't know if the audience has. I think you and I actually talked about this. This is when you were working downtown, riding the bus, right?
Well, this happened in the Valley.
Right.
When it was back in 1959, early 59, it's a long time ago. But in early 59, I was 19 years old, 19-year-old kid, and I just arrived in California. I had no idea what I was doing, but I'm here as like any other 19-year-old stupid kid on his own. And one morning, this is 1959, so I ended up in North Hollywood, which was a very little Mickey Mouse little town back then, and so I used to go downtown on Lancashire Boulevard to the little Bob's Restaurant. There was a Bob's Restaurant right in the middle of town. And so on Saturday morning, when I'd go downtown, I'd walk. I only lived about 2 blocks from town. And so I walked down there, and the place was crowded, obviously, because the only place in town to eat. And so I walked in, very, very crowded, but there was one open seat at the bar, and so at the counter. So I went and sat at the counter, and then I find that I'm sitting next to a girl. I'm 19, she's probably about 17. And so we started talking, and I found out that she lives just about where I do, but she lives 4 blocks from me, and 4 blocks from town, and I live 2. And so we started walking after breakfast. We walked around town. I liked her, she liked me. We get along fine. And so when we were walking home, we started meeting each other on weekends. I would meet her on Saturdays. We'd have breakfast and roam around town, and so that's as far as it went. But then one night, and also whenever we would go home, I only lived 2 blocks from town. She lived 4, so she knew where I lived.
Right.
But I never walked home with her, so I didn't know exactly where she lived. So one night, on a Friday night, she came over to my place and knocks on the door, and I was not expecting her at all, about 10 o'clock at night. And she said, "My dad wants to talk to you. He needs to talk to you." And I said to her, "I'm not interested to talk to your dad about anything." And she said, "My father is very important, and he has something to tell you. So you better come with me." And so I thought, wow, that sounds interesting. So I said, okay. So I go with her, and then for the first time, I actually see where she lives. And as I was walking up to the house with her, this is about 10 o'clock at night, her father happened to be coming out the front door by chance. And when I saw him and our eyes met, I got the strangest, scariest feeling where the hair raised up on the back of my neck, and I realized I was spiritually experiencing something that was scary to me, that was absolutely frightening. And yet I wasn't frightened by him, but it was an experience I've never had before, of meeting somebody that the hair on my neck was rising up for some reason. And so he made a motion for us to come in, and he motioned for us to come on in. So we did, and my girlfriend, she sits on the floor with her younger sister, about 10 years old. So the two girls sat on the floor by the fireplace, and he and I, the father and I, sat on the sofa at each end. And he's asking me, normal questions about what, he said, my daughter tells me she met you, et cetera, and that you live here. And I said, yes. Well, how long have you been here? And I'm telling him about, and how do you have a job, and where are you working, et cetera. And so I begin to feel a little bit safer and a little bit more relaxed because he was talking about things that I could understand. But my gut told me there's something about this guy that is not right. But I loved it. I mean, I was fascinated by the feeling. And so after talking with me for a few minutes, he then says to me, very nonchalantly, he says, oh, when you were back in Florida, do you remember back in Florida when you were 8 years old and your dad built a new back porch? Remember your dad and your uncle tore down the old back porch and built a new one? And I was shocked. I didn't know what to say, but I remember that I was concerned that tears coming to my eyes because he scared me. And I didn't want to show tears in front of my girlfriend, but he scared me. And he says, well, didn't your dad build a new back porch? And I said, yes, he did. And he said, and one night you were 8 years old and you were supposed to be sleeping and you got up. Remember that night you got up and you went out in the back porch and the moon was full? Do you remember doing that? And I just looked at him and shook my head. Yes, I remember. And he said, and you started picking the wood because it was green lumber. Your dad got the lumber cheap because it was green. And he said, remember how you picked the lumber with your finger and you were using it as like a toothpick and you were smelling the green lumber at night because it smelled funny and you were looking at the moon? And he said, do you remember that? And I just shook my head. Yes, I remember. And he said, what did you do when you were looking at the moon? And I didn't say anything. And he said, you talked to God, didn't you? And I just shook my head. Yes, I remember that. And he said, and what did you say to God? And I didn't know what to say. And he said, well, I'll tell you what you said. You asked God to allow you to use your life to do something important. You wanted your life to be of value and importance. And that's what you asked God. Is that what you asked? And I said, yes, that's what I asked. And he says, well, how would I know that? He said, how would I know what you said? And I said, I don't know how you know. And he said, well, I know because we were there. We heard you. And I said, what are you talking about? You were there. He said, well, how would I know everything that happened to you if I wasn't there?
Right,
and I said, I didn't see anyone. He said, of course not. We didn't want you to see us. And then he said, how come you are in Los Angeles? Why did you come here? And I said, I don't know. I just had to come here. He said, that's right. I brought you here. And he says, so you, and then he says to me, you've always been interested in the occult world, all the hidden secrets of the world and UFOs and aliens and all that kind of stuff, haven't you? And I said, yes. And he said, yeah, I know. We've been watching you for a long time. And he said, so would you like to see some UFOs up close tonight? And I said, boy, would I? And he said, well, come with me. I can do that for you. So come with me. And he gets up, and I follow him, and the two girls follow me. And the four of us go out in the front yard. It's about midnight now, North Hollywood, 1959. He looks up into the sky, beautiful starry night, looks up into the sky and starts inaudibly talking. His mouth is moving as if he's talking to someone, but there's no sound. And then he looks at me and he said, they said they'll be here in about 2 minutes. They're coming from the southeast. They'll be coming over Griffith Park in a couple of moments, and they're coming here. And I said, who? And he said, you said you wanted to see UFOs. You wanted to see us. Well, just wait. And they said they will show. And a couple of minutes later, for damn sure, I was standing in the backyard, front yard of his home, and I see 3 glowing, bluish, gorgeous, glowing objects. and they're moving very slow, and they're coming right directly toward us, and they came over the top of us and stopped. And what they were, what I saw was incredible. First of all three were like a pie. They were totally round, and each one it was cut like 6 or 8 cuts on a pie. Each one of the pieces were different colors, but they were laser colors. The reds, the blues, the pinks were absolutely laser colors. And they were circulating on the bottom of the disc, all three of them identical, making no sound whatsoever at all. And they sat there in the sky for a few moments with these beautiful colors circulating around the bottom of the disc. And then he looks up, he's looking at me, and I turn on to look at my girlfriend, and she's smiling and looking at me because she knows what's going on, but she just wanted to see what my reaction was. And so he talks again to them inaudibly, and he said, they said they're going, but they'll be around, they'll be watching you. And they did, and so they started moving on and going north very slow, and we watched them till they were gone. And I said, what was that? He said, that's us. You said you wanted to do something with your life. You asked God to let you do something with your life. So we brought you here so you can do something with your life. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, what you're going to do for us will not happen till the last part of your life. The very last part of your life on the earth, we have given you something to do. And you will do it. Because you ask, and we will allow it, and we've allowed it, so you will do. And I said, what is it I'm supposed to do? He said, it's irrelevant now, it's not important, but just remember, when it's the last part of your life, we will let you know, and you will know what you have to do. So just remember, we're watching you, we're protecting you, but we have something for you to do. And that was it. He bid me good night, and I left, and he gave me a book to read. He told me, I got something for you. I've got a book I want you to read. And he gave it to me, and it was a really extraordinary, interesting book. And so I went home that night with my head spinning.
Hold on. Okay, we're going to discuss everything else after the break, okay, which we're going to do in 2 minutes, and then we'll continue with this experience, this encounter. But did he look, Jordan, different to you, the father? Did he look, was there something that tipped you off that maybe he's not of this earth?
No, he was a very sweet and very kind, but his demeanor was different than other humans, and his very presence gave me the chills. I mean, I didn't try to do it, but it was just giving me the hair on the back of my neck was raised every time I'm talking to him, because I knew there's something about this man that is not real, not human. But I loved it.
Yeah. Man, what a great what a great experience. And we're going to hit a break here, but somebody tweeted back to the old man in the truck back in New York that maybe the old man in the truck was you. You ever think about that? Kind of trippy. Yeah, let's take a break right here. Our guest tonight, 6 years gone, but he's back right here on Fade to Black. Our guest is Jordan Maxwell. Now, we're going to finish this. I want to know what the book is, of course. We're going to find out about that. Did he hang out a little bit more? What happened to the girlfriend? We're going to discuss all of that when we come back with Jordan Maxwell. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Stay right there.
And you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter. But listening to Jimmy Church will.
So you went to dinner last night, you had your favorite pasta. Ugh. Or maybe you had a heavy, spicy meal and it left you. Ugh. Get the tea.com. Maybe you mowed down a huge steak and your plumbing is all plugged. Ugh. Get the tea.com. Our super strength tea will take care of your occasional ugh. It's all organic and non-GMO. Get rid of ugh. We have so many great supplements, but our super tea is number one. GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
Levels of Power. Fact or fiction? Author Mike Gilmore brings political thrillers aligned with the latest news stories direct from our nation's capital. Immigration and border security. High tension in Southeast Asia. A Supreme Court nomination. Follow Senator Randy Fisher through the halls of power as he confronts the issues that affect our everyday lives. Fast-paced political thrillers. Levels of Power. Discover more at michaelgilmore1.com or amazon.com. Get hooked today.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy. What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring two Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The two full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129 and use the promo code JCRTWS and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Teppy.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to jimmychurchradio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRAradio.com.
This is KJCR at jimmychurchradio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Jordan Maxwell. And over the years, the one guest emails every day over the years. You've got to get Jordan. We couldn't get Jordan on the show. Tonight is the first time, the first date, the stars and the moon aligned, that we could finally get him here. And Jordan, I want to thank you in advance before we depart tonight. Thank you so much. It has been one extraordinary conversation. And
well, thank you for allowing me and for having me here. There's been a lot of people cyber stalking me and not wanting me on anything, not wanting me to speak publicly, not wanting me on radio, not wanting me to speak publicly anywhere.
That's the way it goes, man.
I have enemies. That's
the way it goes when you speak the truth. Jordan, let's get back to the story, man. Okay, what was the book?
The book was called The Complete Works of Charles Fort, F-O-R-T. Complete Works of Charles Fort. You can still get it today. It's a big seller, even still today. It was written back in the 50s. And it is an extraordinary book. that this man gave me, and it opened me up to a whole world that I finally find myself in today. It's an extraordinarily interesting book dealing with all of the strangest things that have happened on the earth that have no explanation for whatsoever. Nobody can explain it. Nobody knows what it means, but strange occurrences. And what makes it so interesting is that every page is documented. What newspaper, what magazine, who wrote the article, what happened, where it is, what happened, the date, and incredibly strange stuff which has happened on the earth that no one has any explanation of at all, and doesn't talk about it, and do not talk about it because it doesn't make any sense. And it's called The Complete Works of Charles Fort. He went through all the libraries and found strange things which have occurred on the earth that challenge your belief and challenge what you think is true. And all of it is absolutely documented and true. Stuff you have never heard that has happened on this earth that has no explanation for at all. And the book, again, is The Complete Works of Charles Fort. Extraordinary book. You got to get a copy, and they got easily obtainable everywhere. You can get it off of Google or anywhere else.
And, of course, that's where the term Fortean came from.
That's it. So, and there was a couple of other things I wanted to tell the audience before I forget. I usually talk right up to the end and forget to say it, so I want to put it in now. I was told by my attorney friends some time ago, quite a while back, that there's two of you, and I had it explained to me, and we could talk about that maybe one day, about how there's two of everything. But there's two of you. There's a private you and a public you. And they were telling me, because of the enemies that I have and people who are trying to harm me, that I should not be talking about certain things in public that you can get in trouble with. Don't name any names and talk about things that, we're not supposed to talk about in public.
Right.
Well, my feeling is, to hell with that. I'm going to talk about all kinds of things that are not supposed to be known. That's who I am. That's what I do. But I did get some good advice from one attorney who explained it to me this way. He said, when you go to a restaurant with, say, 6 or 8 other friends, and you go and sit in the back of the restaurant with the table just with you and your friends, what you say at that table, I don't care what kind of cursing it is, what kind of terms you use for other people, it doesn't matter. Couldn't care less. You can say anything you please, as long as your friends will allow it at the table. You can say anything you please about anybody at that table. Why? Because it's private. The people there with you, it's private. Government is not empowered to concern themselves with your private conversations. But if you go out on the web, if you go out on radio and use that same language and talk about the same stuff you talked about in private, now you can get in trouble. Yep. Why? Because the government is empowered to protect the public. And so they are protecting the public from your foul mouth and your dirty thoughts and what you said at the table. That's perfectly fine, as long as your friends don't mind. It's perfectly fine. Government doesn't care, as long as you keep it private. But when you go out on the radio and start doing the same thing, now you're looking for trouble. And so I was told, if you're going to put materials out on your website, documents and pictures and all kinds of research materials, some of it may get you into some serious trouble. Then you have better put it into a private venue, because now government has nothing to say about it, and government doesn't care what you're putting on because it's private. And so that's why I now have decided I have my website, which is Jordan Maxwell Show. That's my website, jordanmaxwellshow.com. It's a podcast, but that's my website. But on it, I have now, because of the information I got from my lawyer friend, I have opened up a new website called Jordan Maxwell Research Society. So I have a new website on my podcast called Research Society, in which you can join for $30 for a lifetime connection to my website, Jordan Maxwell Research Society. And on that website, I am putting, I'm having my webman, I should say, upload all of my research materials, articles and pictures and and white papers and research materials, all kinds of stuff. Some of it is very, very controversial and could get me in trouble. I'm putting it out there in the public. So I'm putting it on my research website. So if you'd like to join my research website, this is where all of the real stuff is going to be. It's a fairly new website, but it's full of interesting stuff right now, but it's going to have a lot more. So I've got audios and videos and research papers, pictures, diagrams, all kinds of stuff that I've been doing over the years, little by little, putting stuff up on that Research Society website for people to read and get from it whatever they want. But the point being is that if anybody takes something off of that website, research website, and they take it public, most likely it will, I don't want that, but most likely it wouldn't get them in trouble. But there are some things on that website, my research website, that will get you into trouble. But but it's not going to hurt me because I didn't do it. I put it into private.
Right.
Somebody else took it and made it public. So I'm just saying there's a lot of interesting stuff out there that I would never talk about in public. And so I just want people to know, if you want to follow my work and some of the stuff I've been doing, just join my Research Society. It's on Jordan Maxwell Show. It's right there, and you can join it.
Yeah, I've got all the links up are up in Twitter and getting retweeted out there into Twitter land right now. So all three links are there, everybody.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for doing that.
No, we appreciate it, Jordan. But now I'm going back to the story. What happened to the girl? Did you guys hang out?
Yeah, I used to go. After that, I became very close to that family, and they only lived a couple of blocks from me. I'm a 19-year-old kid and just enthralled with my new girlfriend and her strange and interesting father. And so I would go out sometimes on Saturdays or Sundays. We would go out to breakfast early in the morning, the whole family, the mom and the father, and the two girls and myself. And then we would drive up to Palmdale, up into Palmdale, Lancaster area. This is back in 1959, 56 years ago, when there was virtually nothing out there except a couple of defense contractors and a little Mickey Mouse town. And I do mean Mickey Mouse. There was nothing there back then. But we would go out there, and then he would drive, and we'd go way out past Palmdale into the mountains, and then we park, and the girls would stay with their mom, and he and I would he would point out these different mounds, and we would go over to these mounds, and he knew exactly where he was going, and they were, some of them were like mines, and they were dug out, and so we would go into these mining areas and go down into the tunnels. And my girlfriend went with me one time. She went down in one of the tunnels with the father and myself. And then she, after we got really far down, started to get, I guess, claustrophobia or whatever. She decided to get out, so she turned and left. And the father and I continued down into these mines up in Palmdale and Lancaster. And he was telling me, this one in particular we went down into, and we stopped at a particular point. We had flashlights, and he stopped, and he said, "This is as far as we can go." And I said, "How do you know?" He said, "No, we can't go any further." He said, "There are aliens here, and they are here. We are at their entrance to where they are, and as long as you're with me, you will be all right. But if we go any further, neither one of us are going to be all right. So this is as far as we can go." And I said, "Well, who's down here?" He said, "You don't want to know." And so I just want you to know that there are civilizations and entities under the ground. I just want you to know that. And so, as a 19-year-old kid, I don't know. I'm just listening to what he was saying. But as I have grown up and now know what I know, there's no doubt in my mind he was right. So one day I went over on a Saturday morning, I went over to see them, and the house was wide open. All the doors were open, the windows were open, and there was not one piece of furniture in the house. They were gone.
What?
Gone. Gone. I never saw him again.
That's it. You never saw her again either.
Nothing.
What?
Never saw anything ever again.
What kind of ending to a story is that? That's insane. That's insane. Now, I know North Hollywood like the back of my hand. I know every house, every street, every block.
Yeah. Have
you been back to the house? Does the house still exist?
No, the house is not there. I've been back there many, many times just for myself. I go back just to reminisce and think about the experience that I've had there. And no, the house is gone. There's a big apartment building now, and so it's gone. It's just memories now in my mind. But the mere fact that he could tell me what happened to me when I was 8 years old, and tell me that we brought you here to do something and won't happen to the last part of your life, and all of that, and like I said, 36 of those kind of experiences. I've only given you a couple. So
now, what do you think? As we're going to wind down the show here, I want to pick your brain on a couple of things. We have some different things that are going on in a pretty large scale. We have Tom DeLonge, from the band Blink-182, and his efforts right now for disclosure and writing books and multimedia. He tweeted out today that the big news is coming. Just give him, I think I'm going to paraphrase here, but I think it said, give me a couple of more weeks. So he's got something. We have, Corey Good. We have David Wilcock and some other, Stephen Greer and his movie Unacknowledged has just been released, and that's a big Hollywood. We were talking about Hollywood earlier, and that's a big Hollywood production. So we have a lot of things that are happening at the same time. When you look at ufology and ET and secret space programs and what's going on right now, and you look at where the movement is today in ufology, what do you think is going on?
Well, first of all, let me, because you reminded me of something, let me throw this in real quick. The entertainment world we call Hollywood. If you remember that America, most likely, as most of America, when it was founded, came from Europe. And it was northern, southern, eastern, and western Europe. Were the population that came to this land and set up what we call the United States.
Right.
They were Europeans, and incidentally, Europe was was divided into northern, eastern, western, and southern. North, east, west, and southern, or NEWS, news. That's where we get the word news. Is from north, east, west, and south. So anything that happens in the north, east, west, and south is news, NEWS.
Right.
But the people who came here from Europe originally, a long time ago, were Druids, because in Europe, the Druid presence in Europe was dominating all of Europe. Even before the Roman Empire, and Europe was dominated by a religious political group called Druids. And the Druids were the most important people in the community, in civilization in Europe. They were the judges, the doctors, the ministers, the clergy, everything, anything that was important, a position, it was occupied by Druids. And of course, the Druids are still important and present in Europe today. But America was founded by and peopled by Druids. Well, one of the most important symbols of the Druid community in ancient history was a magic wand, like Merlin the magician with his magic wand and Mickey Mouse with a magic wand.
Right.
Magic wands were always a symbol of Druid power. And the reason why is because magic wands were made out of the wood of a holly tree. It's made out of Hollywood. Get it?
Yep.
And so Hollywood is the wood of a holly tree, which they make magic wands out of. And incidentally, go on the web and go to image, click on the word image on the web and look up Jesus with magic wand. And you will find that all over Europe, there are pictures and statues of Jesus doing his miracles, and Moses and the prophets and all these different biblical characters in the churches all over Europe. All of them have magic wands. Jesus is resurrecting people with a magic wand. He's chasing diseases out of people with magic wands. The Apostle Peter has a magic wand. He's healing people. Yeah, go on there and look at magic wands and Christianity, and you will see all over Europe. It's a Celtic, Druidic religion of magic wands. And then when you understand that the Jewish God today is different than what it was 1,000 years ago, there are different times in which Judaism had different gods.
Right.
Because Judaism was never a monotheistic religion. Never. It was a Heno, spelled H-E-N-O. Write it down and go look it up. H-E-N-O, Heno, a Heno religion. Heno is not mono. Heno means picking one from a group. So if there was, say, 15 gods standing here, and you were Jewish, and you picked out one god to follow, then you could say that you are the worshiper of one god. Yeah, but there's 14 others that you didn't pick. So yes, you're the worshiper of one God that you picked. And so the Hebrew people were henotheistic. Why? Because they picked one God in particular. This is why in the Ten Commandments, is God is saying to the Jewish people, the Hebrew people, I am the Lord your God. Y-O-U-R. I am the Lord your God, and I will not have any other gods come before me. So he didn't say there were no other gods. I just don't want any other gods before me. Well, it's the same thing as the guy engaged to his girlfriend to get married. And he said, I'm the man in your life. Of course, there are lots of other young men out there, but you better remember, I'm the man in your life. And I won't have any other guys coming in because we're engaged. We have a contract. And so I am the Lord your God. So you need to understand that different times of history, the Hebrews have had different gods. And that's a whole story that really needs to be told. One day we'll talk about that, about the god Saturn. Saturn was the god today. The god Saturn is the god of the Hebrews today. So when you're going into synagogue, just remember, planet Saturn is what you're worshiping today. Saturn is referred to as the Lord of the Rings. Of course, Saturn, the Lord of the Rings. And, the ancient Hebrew men were told when you get married with a wedding ring. Women were told to listen to their gods, so you wear an ear ring. And so we still have the worship of the Lord of the Rings in Hollywood today. All of these things are not well known to people. They go to see movies, they go to the churches and synagogues and their mosque, and never, ever even suspecting what is really actually going on and what they're really involved in. And unfortunately, too many people are not interested and do not want to know. There's a big difference between stumbling on something and wanting to know. And most people don't want to know. So that's what I've been up against. But if you do want to know, go on my website, JordanMaxwellShow.com. That's my website, Jordan Maxwell Show, and join my research society. You'll find some off-the-wall stuff there that you did not know even existed.
So,
especially in religion and government and banking and God knows what else.
You didn't just avoid my question, did you?
Comparably, I think successfully.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Go back over the question if you want.
No. We're at the end of the show, and I do want to thank you. I want to leave with this. We have about 3 minutes left before we have to say goodbye. Actually, 2 minutes because I have to roll credits. Do you believe in a creator? And if you do, is that creator E.T. or is this the God that is referenced in the religious texts?
No, I think that the real story is totally different than anybody has. I think what's being said in the Bible is a totally different concept that Christians and Jews have ever even considered. And I've sat and talked with some of the best rabbis and Jesuit teachers and Jewish theologians for over the past 56 years. And I'm telling you, what you're reading in the Bible and in the book of Genesis is not what you think it is. We need to talk about that the next time. Believe me, it's an extraordinary story of what the real story about God actually is. And so we'll talk about that another time.
I want to thank you right now, Jordan. An extraordinary conversation. Welcome back, my friend. And I look forward to you and I sitting down, breaking bread, and I get to squeeze the real stuff out of you.
Oh, yeah. Yep. After a couple of drinks, I'll be splitting it, and I'll be telling you all kinds of stuff.
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you so much, friend. Jordan. And sleep well tonight, and we'll talk over the next couple of days.
Fine. And one last thing. I have two brand new videos you need to get. They're both on my website, Jordan Maxwell Show. Go on and join my research society and get my two new videos. One's called Cosmocrats, and the other is uncovering of an ancient symbols. Very, very important two videos I have out there. And I want to thank you for having me on. Let's do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen both videos, everybody. I am a lifetime member of Jordan's Research Society. And do go check out the videos. I watched them today. Jordan, behave. Okay?
I'll try.
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you so much, Jordan.
Thank you very much, and I'll talk with you later. Bye-bye.
Great conversation. Jordan Maxwell. Now, everybody, all of the links for Jordan are there. We posted them up on Twitter, and if you go over to jimmychurchradio.com, all three links are there. Go and join, hang out, check out Jordan's new show as well. This is just the first show of many in the future. Great conversation. And again, I want to thank Jordan for everything that he has not only done for me personally, but for all of us over the years. And I can't say this enough. From the very beginnings of Fade to Black, the email that I get every day, when's Jordan coming on the show? When's Jordan coming on the show? When are you going to get? Well, we just couldn't. Jordan and I wanted to. But today we finally did it. All right. So all of you, thank Jordan and let's just appreciate him for everything that he has done in the past. I do want to say this really quick. Something happened today out of Vandenberg that I find very disturbing, and I've got 30 seconds that I just want to lay this out. The Pentagon successfully shot down an intercontinental ballistic missile using its own upgraded long-range interceptor, and they did it today, and was widely seen as a test of the U.S. ability to counter North Korean missile launches. Well, they did it, and it was pretty strange, and I know that this is a show of force. I don't want this to escalate and become something that spins out of control, but it seems like we've got a lot of puffy-chested rhetoric going on both sides of the Pacific right now. So there you go. It did happen. You can go and read about it. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I want to thank again Jordan Maxwell for coming on tonight. 6 years gone, but he's back. Fade to Black's executive producers, Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Faded by Dale. Webmaster is Drew, the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2017 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. Until tomorrow night, Dr. Robert Schock right here. Everybody be safe. Go Backley Tappy.